President Donald Trump lashed out at Oman. Some Tesla fans are growing disillusioned with Elon Musk. And reading fiction might be the boost your brain needs. That's some of what we'll get to on The 7 from The Washington Post. I'm Izin Akabawo, in for Bim Adewunmi. It's Tuesday, August 18th. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. Number 1. President Trump threatened to bomb US ally Oman. Yesterday marked 60 days since the president signed an interim deal with Iran, which set aside 2 months for negotiations. Trump declared it the beginning of the end of the US conflict with Tehran. But yesterday, the 60-day window for talks closed, and broader negotiations to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and ensure that Iran never obtains a nuclear weapon appear to be at a standstill. Trump spoke about the situation yesterday in an interview with Fox News. The president said that a US naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz is working, adding that he believes Iran is suffering economically. He also threatened Oman, which has been in talks with Iran about a solution to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Using an expletive, Trump told Fox News reporter Trey Yingst that he would bomb Oman if it, quote, got in the way. Later in the day, speaking to reporters in the Oval Office, Trump said this of an Iran deal.
Well, they want to make a deal, but they're not going to make the kind of a deal that I feel is necessary. Look, we're in there for one reason. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
The Supreme Court rebuffed Trump's bid to overturn a $5 million verdict against him. That's number 2. In 2023, a jury found Trump liable for sexually assaulting the journalist E. Jean Carroll. Trump denies any wrongdoing and has faced no criminal charges, and he has been trying to undo the civil verdict against him. But yesterday, his efforts hit a roadblock in the Supreme Court. Justices denied a long-shot request by Trump's attorneys to reconsider their decision to allow the 2023 civil judgment to stand. They did not explain their ruling. The decision is not a surprise, though. The Supreme Court has not granted a rehearing since the mid-1960s. Roberta Kaplan, an attorney for Carroll, said Carroll and her legal team were pleased with the outcome. Number 3. A US Navy destroyer experienced a complete loss of power in the South China Sea. The Navy has come under strain during the Trump administration's military campaigns in Latin America and the Middle East. Both operations have required US commanders to extend some warships past the planned length of their deployments. In recent weeks, lawmakers have expressed alarm at reports of poor conditions aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln in the Arabian Sea. And this week, Navy officials disclosed a separate incident in which the USS Benfold lost power for 4 days in the South China Sea. The outage left the ship unable to provide sailors with drinkable water, meals, running toilets, or air conditioning. The Navy said power was restored to the ship on July 30th, and it resumed operations a week later. The Navy did not immediately answer questions about why it didn't disclose the incident until now. Tesla's true believers are starting to question their faith in Elon Musk. That's number 4. Tesla investor Tad Park believes in the company. In fact, he believes in it so much that he once put his kids in the path of a Tesla running in full self-driving mode to prove that the technology was safe. Lately, however, the Tesla investor's degree of faith in the world's most valuable car maker has been shaken. As Elon Musk has fixated on SpaceX ambitions to put data centers in space and humans on Mars, Park has grown concerned that Musk's attention is drifting from Tesla. And he is not alone. Many Tesla fans, who are usually breathless supporters of Musk's businesses, are speaking in unusual tones of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Once the crown jewel of Musk's empire, Tesla's stock has faltered, dropping more than 20% since the beginning of 2026. Its challenges underscore the difficulties facing some companies in the artificial intelligence era, as the astronomical prices of computer components vaporize profits. That is forcing investors to get behind long-term bets without a clear payoff. the number of kindergarteners without vaccines jumped to another record high. That's number 5. According to federal data, about 155,000 kindergarteners got a vaccine exemption in the past school year. That's 4.2%, an increase from the year before. And it comes as the country is facing its worst measles resurgence in 35 years. The data shows that 92.4% of kindergarteners had received the required 2 doses of the MMR vaccine during the 2025 to 2026 school year. Before the coronavirus pandemic, the rate stood at 95%. At that level, it is generally considered unlikely that a single infection will trigger a disease cluster or outbreak. American Academy of Pediatrics President Andrew Racine talked to journalist Katie Couric last week about the mechanism behind herd immunity.
Give an individual a vaccine, you're not just protecting that individual. You're protecting anyone that individual could potentially come into contact with. So if you vaccinate a young child, for example, you're not just protecting that child. You're protecting that child's siblings. You're protecting that child's grandparents. You're protecting anyone that child might otherwise communicate that virus to.
Last week, Trump told federal health officials to move toward giving the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccines separately rather than in the combined MMR shot. That proposal goes against guidance from several major medical groups. Number 6. There's a surprising benefit to reading fiction. If you've been told that you spend far too much time with your head in a book, you'll enjoy this item. Research shows that fiction is linked to a better ability to think about and interact with people, and our social health is an important part of our overall health. If you'd like to read a bit more, the post has some simple tips to make it easier. The first thing is to remember that reading should be enjoyable. Lead into the type of books you like and don't be embarrassed about what you're reading. In that spirit, I recently finished Universality by Natasha Brown and would recommend. Another tip is to try audiobooks and put your phone down to read for 15 minutes before bed. For more advice on finding the time to read fiction, click the link to our newsletter. You can find that in our show notes. And at number 7, native plants could help make your garden into a haven for local birds, butterflies, and bees. Did you know that North America has lost more than 3 billion breeding birds since 1970? Researchers say that's partly because of what Americans choose to grow in their yards, and many people who are growing foreign plants may not even know it. So the post-climate team worked with native plant app Wilder Places to pick a trio of plants that would encourage local wildlife for each state, plus the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. For each group of 3 plants, they chose a canopy tree, an understory shrub or small tree, and a flowering perennial for the ground layer. These plants, as well as being native, should be easy to grow and resist pests and diseases. The experts also considered the plant's beauty, whether they could only be found locally, and if they were a state symbol. Happy growing. All right, you're all caught up. Before you go, this Tuesday is a brilliant day to sign up for the 7 newsletter. It's got links to all the stories we mentioned here and many more we couldn't fit in. To get it in your inbox every weekday morning, just Google sign up for the 7 newsletter. I'm Izin Akabawo. We'll meet you back here tomorrow.